In a few years of ascending the throne, Ikenga had brought peace and prosperity to his people. Although he was young, he was loved and respected by all. The only problem was that for the past few months, dead bodies of young men have been seen around the village. What was more strange was that the dead bodies were drained of all their blood. This was very terrifying and horrifying for the people of Aguma. King Ikenga set up a task force within his cabinet members. Their job was to find the culprits and bring justice to the land. One night, as Abu, a palm wine tapper, was at the top of a palm tree tapping wine, he said to himself, "It is late, I need to go home." So as he was about to come down from the tree, he heard footsteps. At first he thought to himself, "It's really late. Who could be entering the forest at this time?" Then two men came within his vision. He noticed that one of them seemed to be floating and the other one was in a trance. Again, it occurred to him that both of them were not talking. The next thing, the both men stopped and faced each other. The one that was floating opened his mouth, and the other one that seemed like he was a trance, a light came out of him and entered the one that was floating. And the next thing, the one that was in a trance fell down and collapsed. The one that was floating turned and left. Abu was in shock. What had he just seen? What just happened now? Because he was afraid, he stayed up at the tree for a few more minutes, making sure no one would come. And then, once he felt safe enough, he came down from the tree. He ran to the man that had collapsed, and indeed the man was dead. What was more terrifying was that his blood had been drained. It was at that point that Abu understood that he had witnessed the killer killing a victim. He couldn't scream because he was afraid he would alert the killer. He looked around and saw footprints of just one man and not the other. Then he said to himself, indeed that man was floating. He could be a ghost. So he traced the footprints out of the forest and saw that at the foot of the entrance was the footprint of the man that had just died and that of a child. But because that entrance was a common place, it could be any person's child. It could be anyone. That night, Abu told the king what he had seen, and then the villagers went to the forest. Indeed, what Abu said was true, and there was yet another dead person. Abu said because it was dark, he couldn't see the face of the killer. All he knew was that the person was a man. The following weeks, dead bodies were coming up around the village. Witnesses were saying that the killer looked like Mazi Ibube. But no one believed this because Mazi Ibube was a well-respected man in the village. He was a principled and kind man. After years of marriage, his wife just gave to birth. He is a very kind man. He couldn't hurt anyone. How much more kill a man? However, dead bodies kept coming up, and the villagers gradually believed that it was Ibube because every witness claimed to have seen Ibube taking the victim to the forest. The king called Ebube and he cried, "I am innocent." The cabinet members did not agree with this. They said Ebube was the culprit. People had pointed him at the scene of the crime. Ebube's house was searched and the belongings of the victims were found in his house. At this, Ebube screamed, "I am innocent. Someone is trying to frame me." But no one believed him. It was decreed that Ebube would be executed. Everybody was happy as the matter had been settled. Everyone except the king. The king found it hard that Ebube was guilty of these crimes. The man had been a kind man for a very long time. How could such a man change and become a killer? He assigned two of his trusted warriors to stay and watch Ebube's house. There was something that was not sitting right with him. So the warriors would station themselves around Ebube's house, morning and night. For 10 days, nothing happened. In 2 days' time, Ebube was to be executed. One night, as they gave up and were about to leave, they saw Ebube's son, Azuzu, come out of the house. It was late at night. They said to themselves, where is a 6-year-old boy going to at this time? As one of them wanted to go and call out to the boy and tell him to go back home, the other warrior held him back. He said, "No, let's see what's happening. Let's see where he wants to go to." So they watched as Azuzu went into the market square. He went straight to a man and started crying, "Please help me, I'm lost." Because Azuzu was a little boy, the man had compassion for him. He said, "Okay, hold my hand and we will find your home." So Azuzu took the man. However, what surprised the warriors was that Azuzu was going the opposite way of his home. He was going towards the forest. Again, the warrior wanted to call out to the man and Azuzu. Azuzu is a small boy, so naturally it is possible that he must have forgotten the road to his house. But again, the warrior stopped him and said, "No, let's see what's happening here." So they watched as Azuzu took the man towards the forest. Before they entered the forest, Azuzu gave the man a fruit. The man ate it, and then it seemed as if he entered a trance. That was when Azuzu, a 6-year-old boy, turned into Mazi Ebube. The warriors were in shock. How is this possible? What just happened now? As they were saying this to themselves, Azuzu, now a man, took the victim into the forest and was about to kill him. The warriors swooped in and saved the man and tied Azuzu down. At this point, Azuzu turned back into a boy. He was crying for his mother. It was difficult for the warriors to explain to the people and the king what they had witnessed. They said that this boy is not normal. He turned into Mazi Ebube. The king said, "How is that possible?" So they sent for the Ezemo. The Ezemo said, "This type of spirit is a spirit of vengeance. For this type of spirit to turn into Mazi Ebube, it means Ebube had done something to offend someone's spirit." Then they called for Ebube. Ebube confessed that he had been eyeing Mazi Uche's land. Uche died and his widow refused to sell the land to Ebube. Ebube then killed her. Unbeknownst to him, the widow had been pregnant. The Ezemo said the widow's spirit and her child's spirit had cried for justice against Ebube. As Ebube confessed, Azuzu disappeared before everyone. To appease the woman's spirit, the king took the land away from Ebube and gave it back to her family. Ebube was disgraced at the market square. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button. Please subscribe. Thank you to all those who have subscribed. Until next time, goodbye.